real quick, let's review what we talked about yesterday. So we're talking about this thing called intercepts. What's an intercept?
A crossing of the line.
Yeah, so it's where a line crosses
Another line.
another line, and specifically what other line? There's two of them.
The X-Intercept.
So it's where a line crosses the x-axis or the y-axis. There were a few different ways that we looked at intercepts. One of them, we just looked at a graph of a line and we just figured out where does it cross the y-axis, where does it cross the x-axis, and we went from there. Another thing we did is we told you that the x-intercept was 3, the y-intercept is -4, and then we graphed the line. So we went to 3 on the x-axis, -4 on the y-axis, and then we drew the line that went through it. So the other thing that we did, and we did this in the opener today, and we actually did a couple of them at the beginning, examples 1 and 2 yesterday, is we gave you an equation that represents a line. We plugged in a certain number for x and a certain number for y, and that gave us the intercepts. What number do we plug in for x and y to get those intercepts? 0, right? So when we want to determine the intercepts using the equation of a line, it's really pretty straightforward. If we want to find the y-intercept, that means it's going to be on the y-axis. What do we know about the y-intercept? This is something we wrote down yesterday. What do we know about the y-intercept? The y-intercept is going to equal, one of the coordinates is going to equal what? 0. Which one's going to be 0?
The Y.
When we're finding the y-intercept, which coordinate's going to be 0? The x-coordinate, right? So when we want to find the y-intercept, what we're going to do is we're going to set x equal to 0. So we're going to start by writing down x equals 0. This is something you'll want to write down at the bottom of your notes. It says determining the intercepts from an equation. Underneath y-intercept, we're going to start by setting x equal to 0. So we're just going to write down x equals 0. And then what are we going to do with that? So once we say x equals 0, what do we do? What do we do with the 0? Where do we put it? We put it in for x. We put it in the equation for x, and then we solve for y. Exactly. So we put 0 in for x. We solve for y, and then that's going to give us an ordered pair. So it's going to be whatever, 0, because x is 0, comma, whatever the y coordinate is, and we're going to write that as an ordered pair. All right, so for the y-intercept, we set x equal to 0, we solve for y, we write it as an ordered pair, 0, comma, something. So that ordered pair is going to look something like this. I know you have an ordered pair that looks like this written down on the front of your notes, but I want you to write it down here again. Okay, so the y-intercept is always going to be 0, comma, something. And then for the x-intercept, we're going to do all the same things except what's going to change. We're going to set y equal to 0, and then solve for x. Okay, and then once we do that, we're going to have an ordered pair, something, comma, 0. So we're going to write that ordered pair, and it's going to look like this. So again, this is something we've done already. We did it in a couple of the problems yesterday. First example, second example. We also did it in the opener today. But now we're also going to not only write the ordered pair, but we're also going to graph it. So that's what we're going to do on examples 9 and 10. All right. So example 9, we have the equation -4x plus 3y equals 24. So we want to write that up by where it says example 9. There's not a whole lot of room on your paper for your work, so be sure that you write it up as high as you can. Leave yourself some space. And then underneath that, you're going to have to set up 2 equations. One of them when x equals 0, one of them when y equals 0. All right, so the first equation, what I'm gonna do, and I would recommend you doing this too, draw a line just down the middle for this example. And on one side we'll do the x-intercept, on the other side we'll do the y-intercept. So split your space for the example in half. And on one side we're going to, which one do you guys want to do first? X equals 0 or y equals 0? X. Does it really matter which one we do first? No, it doesn't matter. So we'll start with x equals 0. And for x equals 0, what's the equation going to look like?
-4 plus 0 plus 3y
Okay. And with this equation, what's going to happen? What's going to disappear? The negative 4 times 0 is going to go away, right? So what we really have is 3y equals 24, and I want to solve that. So to set up the solution, what do I do first? Nope. What do I do first before I solve equations? Circle the variable, draw the line of equality. Now there's only one thing we have to get rid of to get y by itself, which is the 3. So how do I get rid of that 3? Divide by 3 on each side. And when those 3's cancel each other out, we get y equals 8. Alright, so we set x equal to 0. We solved for y. Now we want to write the ordered pair. So what's the ordered pair going to be? What comes first?
0.
0 comes first because x is 0. Y comes second, which is 8. And there's your ordered pair. Let's go ahead and put a box around that. Again, I know I didn't leave much space for you on that note sheet, so you'll have to squeeze it in a little bit. All right, now let's do the same thing for the other one. So we said x equals 0 already. Now we're going to say y equals 0. So this will be finding the x-intercept for us. And we want to plug 0 in for y. So what's the equation going to look like when we put 0 in for y?
Negative 4x. 3 times 8.
Okay, so negative 4x plus 3 times 0 equals 24. And what's going to disappear? What's going to go away here?
3 times 0.
The 3 times 0, right? So this term right here is just going to drop out because it's 0. And we want to solve for x. Since I'm solving for x, I'll circle the x, draw my line of equality. And what do I do to get the x by itself? Divide by
Negative 4.
negative 4. So when the negative 4's cancel each other out, that leaves x on the left side, and 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. Again, I want to write that as an ordered pair now. So what's going to come first in my ordered pair? Negative 6 is the x value, and 0 is the y value. So we get negative 6 comma 0. Put the parentheses around it, and there's your second intercept. All right, then we're going to move to the graph, and we're going to graph this. Make sure that we label what? We always want to start by labeling the y-axis and the x-axis, right? So since we're dealing with intercepts, this is especially important because the y-intercept we need to make sure is on the y-axis and the x-intercept on the x-axis. So the y-intercept is the vertical one, the x-intercept is the horizontal one, and now we'll plot these points. So where is 0, 8?
Up 8.
Up 8. Okay, so we're going to start at the origin and go up 8. Your coordinate plane looks a little different than mine. So mine is going to be right. Mine's going to be right here. Yours is going to be at the very top of your coordinate plane because yours only goes up to 8. And then where's this point negative 6 going to be? We're going to go left 6. And again, your coordinate plane looks a little different than mine. Yours is going to be all the way at the edge. Mine goes all the way up to 10 though, so my point's going to be there. And then once I have those 2 points, what do I need to do? Draw a line. Make sure it's straight, make sure it goes to the edges of the grid, and make sure you have arrows on the end of it. Alright, so go ahead and try this example on your own. This is the last example there. So make sure you leave yourself enough space. There's not much there. And you want to set x equal to 0, set y equal to 0, solve for the other one, write the ordered pairs, plot those in the coordinate plane, and then draw your line. Alright, so to find the intercepts here, we're going to set x equal to 0, we're going to set y equal to 0. Which one do you guys want to do first? X, okay. So we'll start by saying x equals 0, and we put 0 into the equation for x. So what's that equation going to look like? Alonzo? Go. What's the equation look like when we substitute 0 for x?
You said substitute x. 2 parentheses 0
Okay,
plus 5y.
good. All right, so we have 2 times 0 plus 5y equals 10. And before we start solving for y, what can we do? Save us a little time. We can get rid of this 2 times 0 here. We don't need that. So really all we have is 5y equals 10. So now we're solving an equation, so we need to make sure we do what two things first? Circle a variable and draw a line of equality. A lot of people forgot to do that in the opener. And then what do we do to get the y by itself? Divide by 5. So we're going to divide by 5 on each side. 5s are going to cancel each other out. That leaves y equals 2. And what's that ordered pair going to be then? 0 for x and 2 for y. So 0, 2. Box that answer. And then for the other intercept, instead of x equals 0, we're going to say y equals 0. And substitute that into the equation. So we're going to have 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 10. And this time we can cross off the 5 times 0 because that's just going to be 0. So we really just have 2x equals 10. And I want to solve for x, so I circle my variable, draw my line of equality, and what do I do to get x by itself? Divide by 2. Those 2's are going to cancel. That leaves x equals 5. So we have x equals 5 and y equals 0. So the ordered pair is going to be 5, 0. And put a box around that answer. Now we'll go over to the coordinate plane. Since we're graphing intercepts here, and really anytime we graph in the xy coordinate plane, we want to label the x and the y axis. So which one's the x-axis? Which one's the x-axis?
The horizontal.
The horizontal one, and we'll label it on the right side because that's what's positive. Which one's the y-axis? The vertical one. We'll put that up top because that's where y is positive. And we'll graph our point. 0, 2, where is it? From the origin we go
0
up 2. And then 5, 0. From the origin we go right 5. So there's your 2 points, your 2 intercepts. And we're going to use those 2 intercepts to draw our line. Make sure your line is straight. Make sure it goes all the way to the edge of the graph. And make sure you put the arrows on the end. You should get something that looks like that. Again, your coordinate plane is a little smaller than mine, so yours is going to be a lot closer to the edge than mine is here, but should have the same general idea.